Hi there. Just want to give a quick run through of how I do my post-processing for my night sky images in Photoshop. This is not necessarily the best way, the right way, or the only way to do this, just how I've been doing it in recent times, and I've been asked by a few people if I could share what I do, and currently this is it. So yeah, hopefully it's useful. Now, a few quick notes before we get started. This image was taken with an astro modded Canon RP with a 20mm 1.4 lens. It consists of 6 images tracked with an MSN Nomad stacked in Sequator. Some minor color balance and vignette removal was done in Lightroom before I moved it over to Photoshop. And I do use a number of third-party paid plugins, namely Star Exterminator, TK9 Luminosity Panel plugin, Topaz Denoise, and Astro IT Photoshop plugin. So you can do it without those plugins. It just makes my life a little bit easier, so I tend to use them. So without anything further, let's get on to it and see what I've done with this image. Okay, first step, just make a couple of copies of Command J so you've got something to work with, and then we will use the plugin RC Astra Star Exterminator. This works really well in removing the stars. It's a paid for plugin, but really worth it. Just wait for this to do its thing. Now, I always do this on copies, and it'll become clear in a moment, I hope, why. Depending on your computer, this can take quite a bit of time. I'm lucky I'm using a really fast Mac here, and that helps. Lots of RAM. Okay, now we've got a starless copy, and we go up to difference. In the blending mode, this makes the stars by themselves. I've then stamped all layers and move that layer down. So that's my new stars ones. Then I move that other blend mode back to normal. And so we have that as one piece there. Now I'm just going to rename this as the starless version and this as the stars so I can use it a little bit later. And now, once again, Command J to make a copy of it, and this time I'm going to do a levels adjustment. So here I'm just going to go up and just bring up the black point a lot, so I darken the sky around there, pull back a little bit to brighten it there. Happy with that, the starting point. Click that and the level below and just merge those layers. And now I'm going to stamp visible and make another layer. And this time I'm going to do a quick curves adjustment. Just pull down in the blacks a bit and then go just outside the peak and just lift it back up. Once again, just bringing out the local contrast a bit so we can see the reds and the astro there. Now I'm going to go into the mask, that's automatically there. Make sure I'm on the brush tool there. Swap over to a black brush and go to the Orion Nebula, which is almost blown out. Remembering to move my brush up to 100% and make sure it's 0 hardness. Reduce the brush size just enough so it covers it. And just take away some of the blowing out of that we have. Really I need to click it once but can't help myself. Then we merge that again. So we've got a new layer. We'll stamp all visible again so we can do our next step, which is to go into Camera Raw. Now, once you're in Camera Raw, a lot of this is just to taste. Always important to remember. But what I usually do is do a little bit of dehaze, being really gentle with this, and a little bit of clarity, once again, just a little bit to pop those up. Then I'll go into the color section, little bit of saturation, try to take out some of that green tinge and maybe push it a bit blue. Once again, just trying to balance the colors to the way I like them more than anything else. Now, I've had a massive speck on my sensor in this, so I'm just using the healing brush or healing tool in Camera Raw to get rid of it. Really annoying, but it's what happens when you change its lenses a lot in the dark. Okay, so having another look at it, I'll now go into the channel mixer and try to shift some of the magentas more to the red. The red's a little bit more to the orange. Then I push up the saturation on both the red and magenta. Color mixer, boost the brightness on both those a bit. Really trying to pull out this HA alpha in this shot because it is Orion and we want to see all those beautiful big reds, etc. Just trying to get more of that red color than magenta and pink. Once again, fiddle to it works how you want it. Then back up into lights, push back the blacks a little bit, up the whites a little. Always trying to be subtle. Just going to add a touch of sharpening, try to bring out more of those structure in Barnard's loop. And yes, thinking about it here. It's again, little tweaks to contrast, a little bit more of that, trying to fix that green tinge, which I just don't like. It's actually coming through from part of the Milky Way. Back down to color mixer, once again, just trying to pull that back out a little bit. Same there. Now this is all to taste, there's no science to this bit of it. Okay, once more into effects, tiny bit of texture, and I think that's where we're going to stop for that. Okay, always end up labeling each of the layers so I remember which one's what in case I have to go back. Just create another stamp visible layer. And now I'm going to use another filter or plug-in to pads the noise. Don't know if this image needs it hugely, but it's a really effective thing to use. It's worth the money, just be sparing with how you use it. Okay, apply that. Just ignore that annoying pop up there. Once again, label the layer. And now I'm pretty happy. I'm going to bring back in the stars. So as always, I go, just pulling back the impacts of that denoise. I wanted a bit more texture and make it feel a bit more real. Okay, now grab the star layer, drag it all the way to the top. Then you choose a blending mode. I nearly always end up with lighten, but just have a look through them, see what you want. I don't like color dodge very much because although it initially looks good, it has a tendency to just make the stars feel a bit artificial. So nearly always go to lighten. And then blend that level up. And my next step is to make another copy of the stars layer. So just Command J. Move it to the top. Okay, you won't see anything at the beginning. Change its blend mode back to normal. And now what I'm going to do is a massive adjustment on this. So I just take, for that layer, I'm going to adjust the brightness way up. So everything starts to pop out. Way too many stars to make it useful. Bit of contrast. And then the next step is usually just to put a bit of blur on it, so just Gaussian blur. You don't want to put too much over, just everything just disappears. Tend to end up around somewhere between 1.5 and 2. Once again, no science to it, but just there. But you can see the bright stars of Orion showing through there. Now, knock this back to screen. Looks horrible, but here's the secret sauce. Put a mask on that. Change it to black. Now let's make it go away. Then we pop over to the brush tool again. Make sure we're on brush. Change to a white brush. Now it's important to make sure we're on the mask when we do this. Make your brush pretty about the size of the big stars, and then just click on each one of them so you bring through, just for those individual stars, the actual much brighter version that you have in this second stars layer. Why do this? It really is because so you can see the stars much more of the way we see them. We don't see all the extra little stars that come through on the camera. When we're out there looking, we see the bright ones only. So I don't think it hurts to emphasize them a little bit. So I pick the stars that I know are really visible when I'm out there at night and sort of brighten them up a little bit. Another trick is to pull this back to about 50-60%, increase it a little, your brush size, and this way when there's clusters of stars you can brighten them up. So that's in the middle of the Rosette Nebula there. Really useful for the Pleiades, which is not in this shot. That's off, would have been off to the left, but you know, each their own taste. And so this has brightened those up a lot, and I can see the bright constellation, which is what I like. So once again, stamp visible up there. And next thing, I'm using another paid plugin, and I'm using an automatic reduce stars thing. There are lots of ways to do this on the web, but I'm just reducing the non-bright stars so they don't have as big an overall impact, and it's closer to what I'm hoping to get out of this image. Then back to TK9, which is my other handy plugin. These sort of things are really useful, worth trying. And then just save it. Now, a step I didn't do in this video was flatten it first, because if you don't, you create a massive 2 GB file. So remember to flatten the image before you save it. And that's about it. From this point, I would then use this to combine the image with the foreground done on the same day, and hopefully ended up with something useful. So I hope this has been in some way helpful for you. Please give any feedback you want to. I've got to fix again. But most of all, this is always about learning, and we're all always finding different ways to do these things. I can show you what I do today. It will probably have changed by tomorrow. So clear skies, everyone. Thank you.